Y'all
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the F Y'all Podcast. I am your co-host, Michael Wright, and sitting next to me is the one and only, the man himself, Mr. C.T. Fletcher. Pops, we got a certified badass one on this episode.
Yeah.
You ready for this one?
Oh, hell yeah. I'm more than ready. I'm a big ass fan, and I'm so happy and overjoyed to have badass, my real badass, on the Fuck Y'all Podcast today.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome MMA legend.
Absolutely.
And now big-time movie star.
Yep.
Certified badass. And from everything that I've heard about this man, all around good man, and that's what sets everything else up under that. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the F Y'all Podcast, Mr. Ryan Bader. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for that intro. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I could have wrote a longer one, but your accolades, we would have been here all day trying to talk about everything you've accomplished over your lifetime.
It's it.
So I had to make the mindful choice to shorten it a little bit because, my brother, you've done a lot. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of it in this hour I got with you, but we're going to try to start from the beginning and kind of work our way up to where we are now. So,
yep.
Mr. Bader, I'm going to let you take it. So you grew up in Reno, Nevada, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, I was born in Idaho, but I was only there for a couple of years, and then grew up in Reno, Nevada. Got into athletics, right away. Probably around 7, I was playing football, I was wrestling, throw some baseball in there, and a pretty good athlete. Football and wrestling were kind of my main thing, even though I was, doing the all-star thing in baseball, but I wasn't really in love with that. And around probably 11 years old, it was almost like it was an all year-round kind of wrestling. Maybe a couple of months off, but we were hitting the national circuit. We're going to California to get the better wrestling. And I love football too. And so those were my two deals. Big focus on wrestling, and then football season. I was all in football season, and it didn't overlap too much. Then going on to high school, same football, wrestling. I dropped baseball. Good wrestler year round, doing the whole thing, and then football. We went to a really good football school. We actually there's McQueen High School in Nevada, and we beat all the Vegas schools. And we were the highest A level, 5A or whatever. Really good football program there. Senior year was defensive player of the year in Nevada. And then I was like, all right, that high, you're out there with your boys. You just won the state championship. And I was like, man, I think I want to try to play football. Nevada defensive player of the year and all that. But I was 195, not overly fast, middle linebacker, so on paper, is one of those deals where, I might get passed up here and there. And then, so we're thinking about going to it was like, I think number 2 JC, at the time. Went out and visited that. I went to one last wrestling tournament. So like the first place finisher from every state or whoever wants to come, basically, they all wrestled in a tournament. I got 3rd and started getting heavily recruited for wrestling. Oregon, Arizona State, Northern Iowa. And then I went to Oregon. It just wasn't my kind of vibe. I got there. Facilities were amazing. But when I came down to Tempe and at Arizona State, they walked me down Palm Walk. It's in March. It's beautiful. It's, 75 degrees. All the girls are wearing little Daisy Dukes, Can
we pause right there? And the only reason I'm saying pause is because not too long ago, I'm not sure if you are know Shelton Benjamin, the professional wrestler, but he was supposed to go to Arizona State before he ended up going to Minnesota. And as you were talking about Arizona State, one of the reasons he said he couldn't go to Arizona State was some of the reasons you just named.
All that, they know what they're doing, right? Whoever's like recruiting you, they just walk you down that one strip and you're like, it's either I'm coming here, or this will be real bad for me, and I gotta go to freaking somewhere where it snows and I'm locked in, you know.
It just as soon as you were telling that story, I was like, oh my God, that sounds just like what Shelton Benjamin was saying about Arizona State.
Exactly. But I felt like I was like, this is kind of where I want to be. And not only, you know, it's beautiful here and all that, especially in March, and just like the people, you know, the wrestlers that were on that team, the coaches, you know, and you know, I had to go back and tell Oregon coaches were actually at my parents' house, and I had to fly back, you know, and tell them, no, I'm going to ASU, you know, which is like a, you know, 17-year-old kid, you know, that's a kind of a big thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I got that done, and my parents moved me down in August, and we go move into the dorms, and I was like, I fucked up. There's 119 out that week and that day, and we're moving in. You know, I just come from March when it was 75, and they're like, oh, I heard it gets hot in Arizona, but that was a little rough. But you know, you get used to that, whatever. But I loved my time there, Arizona State, and you know, we had a good group of people. And what's crazy, like our senior year, there was a couple-time All-American there. 3-time Pac-10 champ. We had a great team, but our senior year we had Cain Velasquez was our heavyweight. Damn. You know, UFC heavyweight champion. We had myself. We had CB Dalloway who's in the UFC. Damn, we had 3 other guys that made it to the UFC, and Aaron Simpson, our coach at the time, assistant coach. You know, watched us going into the UFC, and at like 34, he's like, I'm gonna start training. And, you know, he did, and he made it over there. You know, it's pretty crazy. It was just at that time where it was gonna get big. It was getting bigger. And for us, we just had a guy that Jesse Forbes, who's on the Ultimate Fighter, and he was fighting Matt Hamill, you know, kind of a pure wrestler, you know, and we were helping him out and doing pretty good. And I was like, well, shit, maybe I can do this, you know? And so, you know, I just kind of rolled after that. So I graduated college, and I was like, oh, I want to go get a real job. I was thinking about maybe trying to go to law school at ASU, had it in there because I didn't know what to do, you know? And then I got a job, and I realized I didn't, you know, want to do a 9 to 5 it's not me. And started training, and, you know, not even expecting to fight. You know, Cain was like going to fight right when he graduated. For me, I was like, I'm gonna keep in shape, you know, just see what happens. And then 43 fights later, here we are.
Yeah. So let me ask you, taking wrestling and transitioning into mixed martial art, is that just the natural progression? Because I know a lot of guys that wrestled in high school, wrestled in college, and it just seems like the next thing is to go into mixed martial arts. So that was never a dream of yours. That's just something you got while you were coming out of college and said, okay, I'm seeing. Yeah.
You know what? We would be, so for me, like my first, like, I think I was like sophomore maybe or something, or junior. And we had, you know, somebody, I think it was Aaron Simpson. He knew Josh Koscheck, right? Oh, yeah. And that's when the Ultimate Fighter was just had like maybe 2 or 3 seasons, or maybe the first one. Right. And then I was watching him, and then watching like their path, right, from becoming a pure wrestler to learning that. And I was like, that would be it'd be fun. Maybe like for me, it was pretty new. The sport was pretty new. And then I saw a couple of wrestlers, and then Cain was always like, I want to give it a shot, you know? So he knew like beginning of wrestling season, his senior year, that he was going to go try this after. And so, you know, I would mess around with him and CB, you know, when we're cutting weight, you know, we wrestled our whole lives. We're like, let's do something different, cut weight here, triangle jiu-jitsu, and then helping out some guys out were in the UFC. I was like, I'm not bad knowing nothing but wrestling, you know? And so for like, to answer your question, like we were all the college wrestlers, man. It's dog eat dog every day. We were the track team, the swim team, everything, you know? And then on top of that, we're in the wrestling room, you know, at least once a day, 2-3 hours, maybe sometimes twice a day. We're cutting weight. And so for us, that whole training for something, training hard to get a result that you want, it's been ingrained in us since we're 7 years old, right?
I will say this, I played football in high school and college, but everybody I know that wrestled, the training aspect, I thought football training was hard till I saw what the wrestlers were doing. Like, you guys are on a whole nother stratosphere when it comes to training. Like basketball, football, all of that shit, we got nothing on the amount of discipline it takes for you guys to compete that training. I mean,
like a lot of you guys have, like, you know, practicing the skill and all that, right? Even if we do that, it's hell every day, right? Absolutely. And you're just battling every day, and I think that gives you kind of a mental toughness and the ability to be like, hey, I can do whatever I put my mind to, you know. And so a lot of these wrestlers go into MMA and approach it the same way. They know how to train. They know how to get that result. You don't have to worry about them not training hard. It's them learning as they go. And that's how we all did, man. I didn't know how to throw a punch. You know, my first fight, I was like, I'm gonna strike with this guy. The guy came out and threw a punch. I'm like, fuck that. Picked him up and boom. You know, you were fighting on pure instinct, but just that wrestling alone, you know, and then the rest of the stuff catches up eventually. But just based on that pure, like, wrestling background and mindset, you can get a long way.
So do you think? I'm sorry. Okay. Do you think if you had to pick one, would wrestling be the best base for a mixed martial artist? Yeah,
I believe so. You know, like with jiu-jitsu or whatnot, right? Like, they're dangerous. You always get that, but they don't train like the wrestlers have trained. And not only that, if you get a good wrestler, they've been training like that since they were a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just ingrained in them. And then for me, like, I feel like learning the jiu-jitsu part, or at least learning how not to get caught, you know, in an armbar, a triangle. Like, you teach a good all-American wrestler, like, these are usually the moves you're going to get caught in. We're just going to train that, you know, defense alone. They go a long way, you know, and striking, especially in the MMA, it's not boxing, right?
Right.
You're not going to take a wrestler and teach them, like, high-level boxing in 3 years, but it's MMA. You guys close their eyes and throw an overhand right and connect with those little gloves, and it's done. You've seen it how many times, right?
Yep.
And so a lot of those wrestlers have that weird upper body strength. They're powerful. And the thing is, too, everybody's tripping out about the guy's going to take him down. So a little feint, like going like that, the guy drops his hand to defend the takedown. Doesn't have to be pretty. The guy lands on him, right? And so I just feel like the wrestling background and that base, body awareness, you know, they're good on the ground, on the cage. They have to learn striking, right? Or you don't. Look at, like, Ben Askren, you know? And I just feel like you can learn jiu-jitsu and striking to be proficient enough in, say, like 3 years, where if you took somebody and tried to make them proficient as the guy over here who's a college All-American wrestler, it's not going to happen in their lifetime.
Right. Absolutely. So, who would you say is the best, excluding yourself, the best pure wrestler in MMA of all time?
I would have to probably say there's a couple. Probably Cormier.
Oh yeah. Daniel's a bad
I would say Ben Askren.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as far as, like, talk about, like, pure wrestling, right? You knew exactly what he was going to do.
Yep.
He's going to come in there. He's going to shoot in a weird shot, and he's so weird and strong right there. He's going to, you know, pull you in and stuff. And then I'd go with I mean, there's a bunch, but probably after that, Khabib, and then the way Cain Velasquez used his along with his hands was I think Cain's one of the at Cain's prime. I feel like he was the best fighter of all time.
Ooh,
yeah,
all time.
Wait a minute now. What do you now? I know noticeably you left out the man that you portrayed in this latest movie. The Hammer Coleman. I
was going kind of new school, but yeah.
I said of all time, Mr. Hammer. And I noticed that, you know, he was conspicuously, I don't even know if that's a word. But anyway, he was left out.
Now he's going to be pissed at me right here.
It's a word because you said it's a word.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's a word.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, those guys, right? And, sport evolves and all that. But those guys went in, Kerr and Coleman, beast of a wrestler, kind of same thing. You knew exactly what they were going to do, and then they just wait for their time, shoot in, and like Coleman, like in the movie in the Grand Prix, in the Pride Grand Prix, everybody was like counting him out, this and that, but that never goes away, even if he was, 42, whatever, just dropping, get the front head and arm, dropping knees on guys' heads right there. You can't do anything once a guy like Coleman gets on top of you. You have to. That's one thing about wrestling that I love having the wrestling background. Like if you're fighting a striker, that dude has to land the perfect punch, has to pretty much knock you out or TKO you. And the rest of the time, they're getting ragdolled usually, And so, yeah, those are guys that I came up watching. I talked about the new schooler guy, Koscheck, those guys that kind of started when it got popular. But, the pure wrestlers coming in, like the Coleman, the Kerr, Dan Severn, those type of guys.
Yeah,
they're the pioneers in our lineage of what we came from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So while we're talking about striking and knockouts, I gotta, and I asked this question because we had Rashad Evans on early on, and one of my favorite knockouts is when he knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
That was a vicious knockout.
Yeah.
You're in it. So what are some of the best knockouts that you've seen? Like, say just one that was just like, holy shit. Like, is there anything that stands out to you?
I mean, that was it. That was a huge one, right? And I remember, I think I was there at that UFC when that happened. And then the whole, Chuck was the man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And when that happened, everybody, they didn't know what to do. Like, why? The cheering, like, what the fuck just happened? Just kind of in my head, I go back. I remember when Crow Cop got head kicked by Gonzaga. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
And he'd do that to everybody.
Everybody.
He got like this. That was one of the ones where I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's been so many.
And I think the Rashad one stood out to me. It was just when I think back on the noise it made, it was like a gunshot going off when he hit Liddell.
I don't know that the one you just brought up for Gonzaga and Krokop, that was up there with that. So,
and he fell back on his leg.
Yeah, he looked like a folded lawn chair.
I mean, I'm sure I've got 10 of them. Really think about it, but I mean, it's just crazy. That's why people love this sport, right? Because a guy could be whooping this dude's ass and get caught one time. You never know what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's
one stands out in early UFC, Gary Goodrich. I don't know who the guy he was fighting with when he crucifixed him and was just elbowing him in the fucking side of the head.
Oh, my God.
That, I'm not going to lie. When I was young when I first saw that one. That shit kind of scared me a little bit. I thought he killed that guy.
I've been at some regional shows where the guys are getting like $350, and one guy was in the cage for like almost 10 minutes out, and then leaving on a stretcher and stuff, and you're like, man, is it worth it?
That's my next question. Okay, I played a little clip earlier on the podcast before yours, and Mr. Bader, in the biggest contest that I was ever in, which is nothing compared to what you do, but anyway, it was the biggest contest for a weightlifter at that time.
Yep.
And the day before, my doctors called me because I just found out about my heart and how bad my heart was. They told me, said, Mr. Fletcher, if you go out there and try to bench press 705 pounds, you'll die right there on the fucking stage in front of everybody. Your aortic valve is going to burst, and you just won't be able to die right there on stage. And I looked at my doctor. He looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm looking at him like he crazy. When he fucking told me that, Mr. Bader, I said to myself, I can't think of a fucking better way to go. that shit, that excited me. I'm like, what? Hell? He said, oh, you're still going? I said, motherfucker, are you crazy? Hell yeah, I'm going. Now, this is my question. I asked Hoist Gracie this, and I got another legendary fighter here today, Ryan Bader, and I want to know, are you willing, when you're going to step in that octagon? You told about the kid who got knocked out and he was out for 10 minutes for $350. Mr. Bader, are you willing to fucking die in that goddamn octagon?
No, if you ask me, before or after something like that, I would say hell no. But in the moment, you are, right?
Yeah.
Because you signed up for that, and you know that is a possibility, or to get your leg snapped or whatever, and you walk in there. And then when the bell, like day of, I'm kind of like, I'm not a wreck, but nerves are flowing. And I've always got nervous for every competition, and I finally embraced it and be like, this is how I prepare, how my body prepares. So just roll with it. Because I know once the gloves touch and we're in it. And 100% in that aspect right there, when you're in it, you're willing to do whatever it takes, and whatever happens,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
at that point, if you're dying in there, you just hope you get knocked out first and then you don't wake up, Not a slow death.
Yeah. Hey, I see, of course I watched the movie. I loved the movie, loved you in the movie, but it was some, I mean, was that your first big acting role?
Yeah, my only one.
Oh, and I thought so, but I didn't want, you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
Oh, appreciate that.
You look like a seasoned professional. It was great. Your performance was fantastic, 100% believable. But it was some scenes with Kerr, and Emily Blunt, The Rock, she was his girlfriend, and he's getting ready for this big contest. He don't want her around. Okay. Because she's gonna fuck everything up. When you got, when you're a competitor and there's a possibility all this shit's gonna happen to you when you're in the ring, you got fucking tunnel vision. I'm going out, I don't need no distractions. Man, I was feeling the fuck out of that movie, when that part. Now, real life, Ryan Bader, has that situation ever happened to you?
No, it hasn't, but I know that situation, right? Because if I was in Kerr's situation there and then, that wouldn't fly, right? Mm. And my wife, Daisy, now, like, she knows from the beginning, right? She's great. She not like Don, let me preface that. Yeah. But for me, that week of the fight, right, I only like to have my cornermen and coaches around me, or training partners. So when we roll out to wherever we're going, I have those guys that are coaching me, that I've trained with this whole training camp, and we're in the same mindset. We're in this like ready for war mindset. Absolutely. And so even my wife and family, not my kids, I don't like my kids to be there, but like my parents even will come, right? My wife will show up the day before. I say hello to her for like 3 minutes. She knows the drill. Yep. And then like her own room, all that stuff. I want to be surrounded by like-minded individuals, and we're there for one purpose. We can have fun, do whatever afterwards. But it's like sole focus. And to be honest, you really don't even want to be around me, before, because I'm in my own world,
And you know what? Nobody else on earth can really fully understand except another high-level athlete who's been in that goddamn situation.
Yeah.
They just don't understand. They don't get it.
Even when my close training partners, one of them was fighting in their PFL is fighting for the title, and I've been there, like I said, 45 times, right? It's even hard, and I know the drill, but it's even hard for me to put myself in that exact mindset unless you actually are fighting that day or the day, And so, it's a weird, and everybody goes through different things, Most of them, even though if they don't say they are, you're excited, but you're fucking scared. You're like, you're everything, right? Yeah. A lot of it's like, I just want to perform to my best of my ability. it's just a whole kind of mind fuck going in there the day for me.
Yeah, I'm looking at this movie and I'm like, leave him alone, goddamn it, stay your fucking ass at home. I was into you guys got me, man. I was into I'm like, leave him a fuck alone, because I've been in that situation in real life. And I'm like, goddamn, you just don't understand. You're not getting this shit. Leave me the fuck alone.
That's why for me, like when fighters, we're in the hotel or something, then they have their whole family like staying in the room with them, like their kids. Like the night before a fight. I mean, more power to them. But
I couldn't
I could not have that. I separated that week. I'm like, I separated.
So the whole week.
I'm not a family man. I'm not a father, not a husband. I'm just this right now.
Absolutely.
I'll be like that on Sunday.
So how do you brought up your kids. How do your kids feel about what you do for a living? How do they feel about dad going in there fighting and beating people's ass?
Yeah, they kind of pretend like, whatever, But then you'll hear bragging about you or something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's pretty cool, They'll either watch it here when they're real young. We used to only like show it after the fact, like if everything's all good, this and that. We'd like, all right, you guys can watch it now. Now they're getting, they're 13, 12, and 11. They'll watch it, whatever. But I mean, there's been times that I've come back and, I lost or got TKO'd. Wife picks me up at the airport. They didn't make it that trip out. And I open up the back and my 5-year-old is like, Dad, why'd you get knocked out? I'm like, oh, hey, appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you too, kid.
Yeah, good to see you.
All right, so Mr. Fletcher's jumping around over here on me, but so after college, you go into Tough Enough, season 8, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, Ultimate Fighter. Yeah,
Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, Tough.
Season 8. What was that experience like?
Yeah, for me, I was fresh out of college, right? Not married. I had a job, like a business-to-business sales job for a while, and I was like, that's not what I want to do. So I was training for a while, and then kind of learning. I was training 5 days a week. Right after I get off work, I go to Arizona Combat Sports. We had a good little crew, and then I'm like, I'm gonna try a fight. So I had 4 fights leading up. I knew that I wanted to make it to UFC.
Yeah,
but I had to have like 3 to 5, 6 fights in the rinky-dink shit all around, right? Fought in Mexico. I fought in a equestrian center. Fought on Indian reservations twice. There you go. I lost you a second.
Yeah. And
then my buddy CB Dalloway went on Ultimate Fighter the season before and put in a good word. And we put our name in the hat. And we show up. We didn't have to go to any tryouts. They saw I was a Division I All-American a couple times and whatnot. Got vouched for. So I had to do an interview, and I walk in. It's like a big conference table. The executives of I think Spike TV and Pilgrim, whatever. And they're just talking shit and talking shit about CB. And I was giving it back, and they're like, "All right, Ryan." They go, "Get the fuck out of here." I'm like, "All right." I leave, and they go send me to medicals, and then we go home, and then I get a call, "Hey, you made it." So we trained up, and then, it was the time where you had to fight to get into the house. So if you lost that first fight, you're out. You're not even on the show. And so we show up. Only guy I know is he played football at ASU, Kyle Kingsbury. And we're sitting there talking, and then, of course, our names get called out to fight, first fight.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, "All right." Shook his hand, be like, "All right. Good luck, I guess," or whatever. So I go win that, and then I get into the house, and he actually got to come back on. Somebody got hurt, got closer and good friends after that, but it was one of those deals. Like I went in there, and there's tough guys on there, that had a family and they had kids and all that kind of stuff. And, halfway through, they're like, "Man, I miss my family. I want to see my kids. Like, I just want to get out of here." Where I was in the mindset of like, this is awesome. We can write down what we want, with the food we want, and they bring it, they'll be in the fridge when you come back from training. You had no phones for like 6 weeks at all, no contact with the outside world.
Wow.
And for me, it felt like wrestling season. Like, all right, cool. I buckled down. I was like, I want this. You know, guys are trying to like get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was there to win the whole thing. You know, and so I just kept my head down and like I fought the very first fight, ended up knocking this dude out, and then I was able to train for a month, and then you know fight in the semifinals, and then made the finals, and then fought Vinny Magalesh in the finals over there. And,
I was going to bring that up, but I knew I was going to butcher his last name if I tried to pronounce it.
Great dude, you know, and he's probably one of the better guys on the ground in MMA. He was slick, you know, but I knew if I bullied him and, you know, didn't love to strike and get hit. Nobody really does, but, you know, I was like, all right, game plan, go in there and rough him up a little bit, you know, and ended up doing that, and I caught him and ended up winning, you know, the Ultimate Fighter. And I was like, it's fucking awesome, right?
2 minutes and 18 seconds.
Yeah. But then you realize you feel like you're on top of the world, and then you realize like you're the bottom guy coming into the real UFC now, right? And you're like, all right. So I had a fight after that, and then I remember my first big fight where I was fighting a name. I get a call, and they're like, basically like, do you want to fight Keith Jardine?
Oh yeah.
And this was after he like beat Chuck Liddell and all that. And, you know, and for me, I'm like, you don't really know what type of level you're at because you haven't been and mixed it up with these dudes, right? Are they way above you and you don't know it, right? And so that was my first big fight where I was like, we fought in Australia in the locker room. I was like, man, I feel weird. My stomach's all fucked up. Like, I went in the stall and I threw up. Only time ever. And I felt better after that. And I was like, all right. And then went out. I still didn't know. Went out and the fight started. And he was always like herky jerky, right?
Yeah.
And he threw a couple punches at me. And I'm like, all right. I was like, I'm good. Like, I belong here, right? And ended up going. I actually knocked him out third round. And that was when I was like, okay. I got in there with a name. They're not like head and shoulders above me or anything like that. Like, I belong here and like, let's roll with it.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how did your early UFC run set the tone for the rest of your career? What were the big lessons you took from your time in the UFC?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's mental, right? And I would kind of go through these like ebb and flows of the mental game. You know, just story I talked about. You know, is this guy way better? Maybe not. Who knows? You find out no. And then I was actually learning in the UFC, you know, and you get with different coaches and stuff. And at the early stage, you don't know. Are you doing the right things? You know, especially like in striking department, you know, I had no idea. And so, you know, went through some different coaches. Like the first time I actually felt comfortable, like throwing hands and striking was in Rashad Evans' fight. I was like, oh, everything slowed down and I wasn't fighting off this like animal instinct wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
Don't really know, blacking out, don't even know what's going on. I'm just going where I could, all right, he's jabbing at me, he's moving to his right. That was like the first time everything like opened up for me.
Okay.
And so that was pretty cool. And then, you know, you'd go on a huge streak and then like I'd have a loss and realize like kind of beating yourself sometimes, like mentally, you know, and then reset. And so going throughout, obviously the physical and the technique stuff catches up, but it's your mind. I think the biggest thing is your mind.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, every time I fix that, I'd go on a big old streak, you know, and then maybe have like a little relapse. Maybe it was self-doubt or whatever. You know, it just takes, because you fighting's so crazy. It's not like football or basketball where you're like, I had a bad game. All right, well, we'll see you next week and we'll do it again. Like you might have 1, 2, at the most, probably 3 fights a year, you know? So there's a lot of pressure.
So take me through the mental aspect, especially coming off a loss?
So for me, it's always like, did I beat myself before that fight? Like, you know, I remember one fight, we had a game plan and then immediately I did the opposite of it and I'd end up losing, you know? And then for me coming out, I'm like, remember this feeling, that feeling of me sitting in the locker room after being like, what the fuck, dude? You didn't like stick to the plan.
Yeah.
this and that. I hate this feeling.
It's the worst.
I wish I can go back in there right
Yeah.
now. But I'm like, remember that moment through training your next fight. And when you're sitting about to walk out for your next fight, remember, you do not want to feel like that again. That's helped me a lot.
Yeah.
And then you go out there and, for me, it's just like, if you can fight free and just kind of let it go and like, know you did all the work. You did everything you could do to be successful, follow the game plan. And then whatever happens, happens. You're like, that's how I fight the best.
So have you ever had a fight and you lost and you followed the game plan? And like, is it a different mindset coming out of a fight like that where like I stuck to the game plan, but I still lost? And then how do you navigate around that aspect of it?
Yeah, I remember one fight. I fought Glover down in Brazil. It was main event. Went out there. I felt good, and he's a big favorite. And I was kind of piecing him up, and like even after, he's like, dude, like, you rocked me like 3 times. I head kicked him one time. I hit him with something, and then I hit him real good where he was kind of out on his feet, and he stumbled back to the cage. And I was like spamming right hands at him, leaving myself open, and he tucked and just came in and clipped me. And I remember my head was fine, but your body, sometimes it's like not working for like 10 seconds, whatever. And I remember I'm like, oh, I got to move. I was like, fuck, I can't. And the ref jumped in, but it was a badass fight, violent as shit the whole time. And, I almost had him. Like a fight like that, you walk out and you're like, all right, I know what happened. I can fix that. I can't throw 4 overhand rights at him, keep my left hand up. That's like an easy fix. But like when you go out there and you feel like you weren't all mentally there to begin with, that's the one that you have to like, all right, we got to change.
That's the one that you go home and kick your ass about.
For months.
That's the one that really went in, I actually fought in karate tournaments, which is nothing like what you do, but
no, the same.
Many years ago, before you was born. But anyway, the thing that kicks you in the ass worse when you get home and know that you didn't do everything that you could have did to win. That regret,
and that eats at you and eats at you. And then, like I was saying, we can't do it again in a week, 2 weeks. Like, we have to wait 5 months at least. And, and so, that's one thing about MMA, man. You have to be able to give yourself 2 weeks, right? And then throw that shit away and don't let it enter your mind.
You took the next question right out. I was going to ask you, how long do you give yourself to,
feel sorry about it for yourself?
Now I got to drop this shit and get back on it.
About 2 weeks, you get back. And then it's even like you start to feel like, start to feel happy again for whatever reason. And you're like, you don't deserve to be happy, you little bitch. But then after a while, you have to be like, all right, dude, done. We're moving on. It's honestly usually when you get back in training, and you'll powwow with your coaches and be like, all right, what happened? Let's do this. We got to work on this and get a game plan. You're like, all right, game plan this. Not going to happen again. And then honestly, it really doesn't like go away until you get that next fight in. And then you go out, and then you get a win and you're like, all right, we're back on track.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I want
go ahead.
Okay. I'm a huge fight fan, period. All combat sports. MMA is way up there next to boxing and MMA neck and neck. But how do you deal with you knowing that you could have did something that you didn't do? You train for this. Oh, all right. You know what? We're gonna run out of time. So I'm sorry. I want to talk about what we talked about when he was downstairs. walking out.
Because he was talking a little shit about you, Mr. Bader, because you knocked out one of his favorite fighters.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't good.
Oh, not that one yet. Okay,
I was talking to him about, but I do gotta hit that too. You knocked out one of my favorite fighters. And we have to discuss that. But we were talking about muscular guys. Now, I consider, and me and Joe Rogan was having a talk about this shit because he was saying muscular guys, and I took offense because I used to be kind of muscular. And he goes, the muscular guys always get tired. They're always tight. I say, hey, Joe, you're full of shit, man. That's not always the case. You can't lump all muscle guys into the same fucking boat and say they all get tired. I said, that's bullshit. And I was giving an example. Okay, how about Sean Shirk, the colors guy, a muscle shark, and he was like a fucking bodybuilder. I'm like, oh, he didn't get gassed out. Ryan Bader, hey, the beast, didn't fucking gas out. That was never his problem. I even brought up El Guapo and said, these guys are naturally muscular. They probably lift weights a little, not like weightlifters lift weights, but probably lift weights a little bit in training and stuff, but they're not a weightlifter, but they are muscular and they don't get tired. So you can't just throw, I even brought up football players, Herschel Walker, guys who just, and I used to bodyguard for a heavyweight fighter named Mike Weaver. They call him Mike Hercules Weaver. He was just naturally yoked. Yeah. Kenny Norton, just naturally yoked guys. Weaver said he never lift weights. He said lifting weights was fucking too hard. And the dude, he looked like a bodybuilder. But gas tank wasn't his problem. Ryan Bader's gas tank is not his problem. He's muscular, built dude. Gas tank's not his problem. So I was asking, while I got the beast, I was asking Ryan Bader about what he thought. So could you tell him? Yeah, no, I mean,
cardio is a weapon for me. Like I've never lost a decision. If it went to the, scorecards, never lost, and I've been in, I fought this Russian dude, Moldavsky, like back and forth war, 5 rounds. I actually think I had COVID during that. My coach was positive a couple days before, allegedly. So I don't get in trouble with the test or whatever. But yeah, I mean I would first round I go out there, I might think in my head like, holy fuck, this guy is so strong, like, and like, can we do this for 5 rounds? But then you always have like a little doubt here and there, but my mind's like, all right, nope. Like, we're the one that's going to put it on. And like, if he's tired, if you're tired, me and myself, he's going to be way more tired, and I've always used that as a weapon. And we tons of fight going back and forth and both probably thinking the same thing. Like, holy shit, can we keep doing this? I just feel like I can. Right. And I will keep doing it. And I know the moment when they're like, it's not just like straight give up, but they're like, I'm kind of done, dude. Mm-hmm. And they'll give me a position where I can, rain down some punches. And I even see him sometime like looking like, come on, ref, step in here and let's be done with it. Right. 100%, so I feel like that's always been a weapon. And I've lifted weights my whole life, like I said, going back to being in a good high school football program. Yeah. The weight room was like a college weight room, right? So I started that my sophomore year in high school. They come into ASU, we had a badass lifting program, Absolutely. And sometimes cutting weight and all that, you pull back a little bit, but I've never dropped that in my whole career. And, I still hit 2 good ones a week in training camp. And sometimes a third, and then outside I'm probably in there, 4 times a week, and so I don't think you can lump all. You can lump all like muscular guys are gonna get tired. I mean, you have more muscle, oxygen, burns up oxygen, and this and that. I will give you this. I was thinking about that. So for me, I was pretty like muscular. Had kind of like a 6-8 pack, whatever, because I was like a kid. Mm-hmm. I've always had it. I don't know if it's from genetics or wrestling or whatever. And even Aaron Simpson was like talking about this kid coming, talking about me coming to ASU. And he's like, this kid's got a, 6-pack and he's built, So I'm wondering too, if it's like genetics from the beginning.
Mr. Bader, let me jump in.
You
here.
just got him started now.
And let me end this this query you have about this. The answer is fuck yes.
Yeah.
You are built naturally from birth. There's a big ass difference between born muscle and built completely in the gym muscle. And
that's when those guys might get tired 100%.
Absolutely.
You know?
If you built it all in the gym, Joe Rogan, you're right. They're going to burn out. It's nothing but gym muscle. But if you got a cat like yourself, 60, that had that shit from a birth, was a kid, your genetics, if God gave you them genetics, he gave you the rest of the stuff to go along with it.
I agree with that 100%.
Joe Rogan, did you hear that shit? Hey, built muscle and fucking born muscle. It's two different things.
Hell yeah.
And Ryan Bader's a perfect example.
We just came up with like a scientific theory right there.
Fuck yeah.
Solomon, that's a clip right there. I'm going to have to clip that one.
I'm going to send that shit to Joe
All right,
Rogan.
so now that we got that out of the way, you beat Fedor, which is one of Mr. Fletcher's favorite.
Yeah, I don't know if I quite forgiving you for that.
I know.
I want to
not only that, you beat Fedor twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, twice. Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, who else can say? I don't think anybody else can say they beat Fedor twice.
I don't know. I think I was the first one.
Yeah.
Was he like Marciano said Joe Louis was his fucking hero. He hated to beat him. Larry Holmes said Ali was his fucking hero.
Yeah.
But he whooped his ass like he didn't like it.
Yeah.
But anyway, was Fedor a hero of yours before he whooped his ass?
Yeah. So the first time, like, I didn't feel bad about it. You know, it was a tournament and we both made it, right? The second time I did. It was his retirement fight.
Yeah.
And we weren't trying to get that fight, right? He wanted it.
Yeah.
And then obviously you're going to do what, Fedor wants. It's been Bellator. So Bellator's like, hey, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a lose-lose situation for me. And then I have like the matchmakers like, man, you better not lose this fight because he's going to win the belt and retire. And then what are we going to do? I'm like, oh, thanks for that pressure. But I remember the first time it was, it's Fedor, right?
Yeah.
I think it's all of us love Fedor. And same with me. And so we went through this tournament and I was on one side, he was on the other. I'm like, man, it'd be crazy if we met in the finals. And that was my first time ever going to heavyweight in that tournament, right? So I think we both won 2 fights and then we were in the finals. In that whole camp, the whole theme was like, do not put the pussy on a pedestal. Like, it's Fedor. That. Who cares,
wait
right?
a minute. That's a sensational quote. Who came up with that? Who came up with that? That's fucking fantastic. I love it.
We're throwing it around because we're like, it's Fedor, but it's just a man on that night that we have to beat. And so I remember right before the fight too.
I might give me a T-shirt with that on it. Don't put the pussy on the
right
pedestal.
Before the fight, it wasn't a regular fight as far as like you go out, right? You get in the cage, the other guy comes in, you touch gloves and go. No, they did the Russian national anthem.
Yeah.
They do the American national anthem. We were in there for 10 minutes and he's staring at me, right, with his nothing. Nothing, just like, and I was like, okay, we're good. Like, that's Fedor over there. Like Fedor. Like, don't put the pussy on a pedestal.
Yeah. I like that, boy.
And then went out there, and then we're actually watching him. His, kind of preparing for his fight, watching his fights, tendencies, and all that. And we saw a lot of times he would kind of scoot out to the right and have his right hand down. And I knew that, Fedor, he's gonna like bring the house. If you get in his zone, he's going to blitz you with, 3 to 7 punches, right? So at the very beginning, I was going to go try to find where that line is, right? And so I'd get kind of close where I'm like, all right, we can't hit each other. And then I'd creep. And then nothing, okay, creep. Then I saw, him kind of flinch, like he's ready to throw. And one good thing about Fedor is you can't see his punches because he throws from down here.
Yeah.
But I saw him tighten up, and I saw it in his eyes. I'm like, all right, that's the line. So then I went up right to that line. You know, he's worried about takedown. I feinted like I was going in for a takedown, and he did his deal when he comes off to the right. And I threw my hook, you know, and tried to catch him into that. And yeah, sure enough, caught him right on the button and he went down. Then I ran over there. I didn't want to hit him again because I could tell he was done, but the ref is not stepping in. So I had to hit him one more time to actually cut him. You know, then he finally, you know, stepped in, and I was kind of like, you know, holy shit. It was like 34 seconds, right? And I'm like, Fedor.
Yeah.
You know, and that was to become double champ, you know, and I had the light heavyweight and to get the heavyweight. So that was far and beyond my favorite moment in my career in MMA. I can never top that no matter what.
Yeah.
You know,
but take me through the start of the fight. You're standing and you're looking across the ring at Fedor. Like, what's going through your mind? Is it just don't put the pussy on the pedestal? Is that all that's going through your mind?
That's it, dude. I was like, because my mind would start to go. I'm like, is he even fucking nervous, or like, what is wrong with this dude? Like, he likes this shit, you know? Like, and then I'm like, no, he, you know, I was like, we're good. Yeah, remember, don't put the pussy on the pedestal. I'm like, hurry the fuck up with this national anthem, right? And then I'm always good once we touch gloves, but that moment in between and like day of, a lot of different emotions and all that. But I'm like, hurry up, let's just get here, right? But then when it starts, I'm like, okay, whatever happens, you know. But I knew no matter what, you know, because I watched Chael Sonnen in his fight the time before. That was the second fight here.
That's the second fight, okay.
Yeah.
Still Fedor, though.
Yeah, you had no respect for him in that one.
Yeah, the second fight, I felt like I could see his punches.
Yeah.
You know, and he's always dangerous no matter what. So here, obviously, took him down. I actually knocked him down with a punch and then just tried to stay on top of him and end it. But that I was more nervous, honestly, going into that second fight because I'm like, I can't beat how I beat him the first time.
Yeah.
You know, he's retiring this and that in the second fight. And but I was able to kind of I've been in there with him before. You know, even though I didn't see a ton of what he had, I felt more comfortable, you know, but I was more worried about the outcome.
Mm-hmm. So when you go into a fight like a Fedor or a Rampage Jackson, have you ever had a fight where you study them, but then when the fight comes, they do something totally different than what you were training for them to do? Yeah,
I'm actually kind of bad at doing that, but I've realized, like, so for me, one time I was watching, I fought this guy Fejao, big power. You know, I fought him in the UFC, and I was watching his videos, and for some reason I had like five to seven of his old fights that he just knocked everybody out, right? And I was like, well, fuck, like, it's not good for my psyche right now, right? I'm like, what do I do? Like, not get knocked out? Like, what do I, you know? And so like after that, and then I went in there, like I took him down a bunch, like I won every round, right? And but I remember it kind of messed me up before. I was thinking like, don't get hit. And so from there on out, like I would just watch maybe their last fight and be like, I'll get to more of the fights as we go on. But then my coaches would watch and be like, hey, we're gonna, you know, do this and that. So I really don't watch a ton. I figured that it's not really good for me. Okay. And it takes me out of what I want to do. I want to implement my game plan. Like, yeah, if he does this weird deal or, you know, has a certain tendency, like my coaches are going to tell me. Okay. But I don't want to get caught up. I'm like, he's doing this, you know, or I can't do this because of this. I want to go in and kind of, you know, implement my will and not worry about what he's going to do per se. And so that's how I kind of approach most of it. Like I'll watch one or two fights, like one or two times, and that's it. Other people, they love watching fights and, you know, studying the whole time. But I figured that just wasn't for me.
Got you.
How much time did you spend with Mark Kerr I'm sorry, not Marco. The Hammer Coleman. How much time did you spend with the Hammer before the movie?
Yeah, not a ton before. Like we had conversations and we talked on the phone and text and whatnot. The whole process kind of came about. I got a call from Benny Safdie, the director, the writer, producer, and he actually texted me and was like, "Hey, it's Benny Safdie. And I didn't know that name, right?" And he's like, "I have a question about this MMA film." That didn't mean anything to me. Yeah. I thought some dude was trying to come in here in Arizona and film some sparring or something, right? Yeah. I actually blew him off for a while. And then we couldn't connect another time. And then I was in Saudi for a fight. And I was like, I promise I'll call you on Monday. Drop my kids off in the morning. And I call this Benny guy. No idea who he is, what he wants. And he answers. He's like, "Oh, Bader, good to talk to you. Can we FaceTime?" I'm like, before I say anything, the FaceTime is coming through, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" Pull over. I answer it, and then he explained what was going on. I was like, "Oh shit, this is real." And he's like, "I don't know if you're familiar. We're doing the Smash Machine," and I'm like, "Okay." I'm aware. Those, like I said, my lineage in the sport, and told me he was thinking about me for Coleman. Talked for 40 minutes, and he was like, "All right, you interested?" I go, "Yeah." I'm like, "What's next?" Right? And he's like, "We'll do an audition." I'm like, "Oh, fuck no." my worst nightmare, right? And he's like, "On Zoom a week from now, I'm going to send you the hardest scene in the movie, which is a hospital scene. Mm-hmm. And I'll jump on a Zoom with you and we'll audition." And I was like, "All right." And so, yeah, studied the hell out of that script and knew it, front to back. And watched the old documentary and whatnot, and then we just jumped on a Zoom and did that, right? And then he's like, "All right, perfect." He's like, "Are you free later?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be free." And we hung up. He texted me like, "Hey, you fucking killed." And then I didn't hear anything for 3 weeks. Man. And I was like, well, he's being nice, whatever. And then I get a text like, "Hey, congrats, I'll see you in Vancouver in 3 weeks." Damn. So it was that quick.
Do you think Coleman? Well, okay. Have you talked? Was he happy with your performances? I know I thought it was fantastic, but was he happy?
Yeah. Benny, the director, actually sent me a photo when Coleman actually got to watch it in a theater, just them two. Mm-hmm. And Coleman had his hands up at the end, screaming. So I was like, all right. So that was my big deal, right? To make sure he was like proud of that.
Right.
And that I did him justice. But, of course, if I was Coleman too, I'd be like, can I get like Chris Hemmingsworth or somebody? Get Ryan Bader.
No, seriously, we talked about it when we did our review on it. Yeah, one of the biggest things that stood out. Yeah, one of the biggest things that stood out for me, and I think the same for CT.
Absolutely.
It was The Rock's performance, his transformation into Mark Coleman was like, holy shit. But the next best thing in that movie was your performance. And I was like, holy shit.
Because, they couldn't, Hemsworth, excellent actor, but for that particular role, there you go. That's right. Yeah. That particular role, it called for Ryan Bader. It called for you. And
I appreciate it.
You knocked it out of the park.
I did talk to him a little bit, and it was really with Benny. It's Benny's movie, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, talk to Coleman a little bit. He's like, but I don't want you changing anything. I want you how you were in that audition. So I'm like, all right. And to be honest, in the audition at the beginning, I was trying to overact, and because I'd never done it. And Benny's all about realism and bringing realism to film. And so when he goes, don't even try. We're just having a conversation. And we started doing that. And he's like, that's it. And then I was like, do I need to get like an acting coach? Benny, I've never done this. And he was like, absolutely not. He's like, I'll help you when you need it, but just be how you were in the audition. Right. And so that's why I was like real careful with that and diving too much into Coleman. We did watch that, like I studied that documentary a lot, and then Coleman is different outside of that too. He can be loud and this and that and big personality, but we weren't portraying Coleman.
Yeah.
We were portraying Coleman in that documentary.
Right.
You know, he's kind of shy. He's kind of reserved. He's, you know, he comes off as a good guy and whatnot, you know, and so we were just trying to make that documentary as real as possible into film.
And
so
you
how
succeeded.
Yeah. How much time did you get to spend with The Rock? Because, and then I asked that question because the way the movie came off, I would think you guys would have had some type of relationship outside of that movie because the chemistry was there between the two of you guys. So what was that like?
I mean,
first meeting him?
You know, Dwayne's like obviously a busy person, right?
Yeah.
You know, so he's on set, he's doing his stuff, and then he has to go do everything else that, you know, he has to do. Plus he's going through 5 hours of makeup a day, you know? And so we got to hang out at like a little camera test at the very beginning, you know, and I just felt like we had a good rapport from right then. And one of Benny's big deal was our relationship, right? It was like he wanted that to feel real and genuine, you know, and I felt like we hit that. And then when they did all the testing afterwards, like our relationship was, you know, one of the highest tested deals, you know, and so it was just one of those deals. It felt easy, right? And walking in there, I never saw Dwayne Johnson as The Rock. I saw him as Mark Kirk.
Yeah.
Because every time I saw him, he had everything on, you know, and it felt like when I'm in a locker room, you know, I walk in and his girlfriend is giving him shit and all this. And like, I felt that, like, I'm like, you know, I felt like I was in the locker room and my buddy's about to fight and his girlfriend is fucking everything up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so I felt like, I just felt like we had a bond from the beginning.
Yeah, it definitely came off like that on camera. Like,
No, thank you.
Super real. Yeah.
So I got a couple of more questions we'll get out before we drop off the Smashing Machine. It was not a major box office success, which kind of shocked the hell out of me.
Me too.
From your point of view, why do you think it didn't resonate in the box office as much as people assumed it would have?
Well, for one, I mean, I don't go to the movies really, right? And I think just that whole thing in general, I don't think a lot of people go to the movies. And a lot of my friends and family went to the movie theater for the first time, you know, because, you know, we're in a big, huge movie, right? But most of the people are like, oh, I can't wait till it comes out on, you know, streaming. It might be one of those, right? And I get that. And it's kind of a niche deal too, you know. It's about MMA, but it's more than that. Obviously, you guys seen it. And I don't know if people just kind of thought that it was going to be like this huge blockbuster, like a Jumanji or something like that, you know. And it wasn't. So everybody comes out and be like, oh, it's a huge bust at the box office and this and that. But it wasn't made for everybody. You know, the other Rock's films, like, who goes to the movies? It's usually, you know, parents with their kids to go see a movie. You know, so I think like that's a lot to do with it.
And I think a lot of people looked at it and thought it was just an MMA movie.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that true?
And I'm like, you got to see it. It's not just an MMA movie. Like, it's so much more than that. And I think a lot of people just, no, I'm not a big MMA fan, but and I knew who Mark Kerr was, but I wasn't super familiar with his story until I watched the movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is not just an MMA movie. This is so much deeper than that.
So you can't please everybody though too. They're like, well, why didn't they do this and this? You're like, that's not how it happened. This is a real deal. You know? So, all right. You know, it's I think it's one of those deals where like once it starts, like it comes all out on HBO or whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's out streaming now. I think if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you can buy it right now.
Yep.
And so I think it'll pick up a bunch there. And then at the end of the day, you know, this was something for Dwayne to, like, a passion project. Like, he wanted to go in there and show everybody, and he did. That he can do things like this.
Yes.
All right, so we are already over time, but before we get out of here, you got a big fight coming up December the 31st. You told the Tokyo Dome crowd you be champion by January. You got to fight December the 31st. for that championship. How are you
Yeah.
preparing? You ready for this one? This is going to be a big one.
I'm ready. You know, I don't have this could be my last one or getting close, you know. And so, man, I'm enjoying the whole process, right? And one cool thing about this fight and kind of how it came to us and why we said yes. RIZIN, what I'm fighting in now, is Pride back in the day. So, right? So Pride got bought by UFC. They had their non-compete. Then they rebranded and came back. They're same owner, same everything. The last time they had a heavyweight champion was Mark Coleman, the guy I played in the movie.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so now we get to go do it for real, you know, December 31st here. So how could I say no? I was like, the storyline's too good. I've always wanted to fight in Pride back in the day, right? So I get to, you know, fight in RIZIN with in the ring with you know, stomps, soccer kicks, and knees to the head on ground opponent. You know, and
so the rules are totally different from UFC. Okay, so what's
you can just kind of do more stuff, like just like Coleman won in that last fight where he won the whole thing, knee into the head. You can do that, and so it's just something where I was like, all right, and I want to kind of go in there if it is my last one, kind of knowing and be able to like soak it all up, right? You know, I think the arena holds like 52,000. Around there, right? And it's going to be sold out. It's a huge crowd, huge holiday over there in Japan. Japanese people are great to fight in front of. And so I'm excited and, you know, get to come full circle with that cool story and hopefully have that belt.
That's right. Now,
just don't put the pussy on a pedestal.
Yeah, I won't.
Now, if this is it, are you prepared for life after fighting?
That's a good question. I've been trying to prepare myself. You know, I have different stuff outside of it, like financially and stuff like that. I think the biggest thing for me, and I've always been like that, I have a bunch of buddies too that are in the military and special operations. We're all kind of the same people, right? If we have it's hard for me to have a mundane day. Right?
Yeah,
I get kind of crazy if I'm not redlining, you know, and redlining could be sparring in the gym or doing some other shit, right? To feel something, you know? So I'm trying to get better at that, is being content in day-to-day life when it's not always exciting, you know? And this movie, you know, I thought I was going to do one more, but I didn't know I had a fight, and I was kind of in that world where I'm like, kind of lost. What am I going to do? I need something to look forward to. That movie came along and I got those same feelings doing that, you know, something to look forward to. I was training. I was like, you know, I'm setting the script. I walk onto set. You have those nerves and you felt something, you know, you felt that. And so, and that's one thing too, is like want to do one more, you know, get that in and then, you know, actively be like, we'll find another hobby where you're going to get those feelings or something.
I can see
agent.
We might see leading man Ryan Bader in some more big name movies coming up here. Huh?
Yeah, I mean we've had some different opportunities come our way, so I had a lot of fun. I never do. I enjoy it like I did. You know, I wasn't like I was never, for lack of a better word, like artsy before. I was more physical, and to be able to be a small part of something bigger and see it come out and see this whole thing, you know, that we made, you know, and have a part in it. It was super cool. So, definitely I'll look into those opportunities, you know, and then either compete some way, jiu-jitsu or something to keep it rolling.
I can call it, you heard it here. You probably didn't hear it first, but you probably heard it. Best supporting actor. You might be getting that nomination, dude.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
on your first acting gig, that'll be super crazy.
If you get it, then you remember this old motherfucker told you first.
First thought.
All right, Mr. Bader, we are over time, sir. Before I do anything else, let me first say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We can't thank you enough. This was, again, these hours go by so fast. I don't get to half the questions I got written down and all the research I done, but man, thank you so much. I know December 31st is going to be a big day, and you are going to fulfill that promise you made to the Japanese crowd and bring that title on home.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm sure our two old asses will be watching too.
Love it,
so congratulations on all your success, Mr. Bader. Again, thank you so much for coming on the FYall podcast. Hold tight. And we're going to end this episode like we do all of them.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah, let's go. It's the